The bullets and the punches and the riots have been flowing in only one direction for too long.
I've been trying to tell you guys this whole time how corrupt all of these things were, and here we are.
It is not our responsibility to fix something they spent years intentionally trying to destroy. Unity can only happen in a country when you have a people who agree on what the outcomes should be. What's up? Happy Wednesday, everybody. How's everybody doing today? SK, Nom, how's your Wednesday going? SK, you're muted. You're going to need to unmute. There you go. No, you're still muted, SK. There you go.
To repost the stream, I got distracted.
SK was in here telling us about the difference between real and lab-grown diamonds for the last 20 minutes, and she forgot to repost my promo video. And by the way, I also learned today that SK deprioritizes promoting my promo videos on the Patriot Source Podcast X account. Get this, because Nom has fewer followers. So she posts his videos first.
Okay, I have to have a method. So I always go to Nom first and then PatriotDad. And I always try to make sure to get Claire and Magameg equally. Yeah, I try really hard to make it equal for everybody, but somebody has to get the shaft, and it's PatriotDad because he has more followers than everybody else.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
To be fair, I don't try as hard. Like I'm entirely too busy. I'm doing like 15-hour like actual work days right now for the foreseeable future. So
I don't know. Do you
I'm
guys
on the show, and that's about all I have time for.
Do you guys actually go watch Nom's videos on TikTok? And I was watching his promo video, and I think laugh.
They're horrible.
I laugh hysterically. I think they're funny. I think that the way you talk to these absolute freaking morons just cracks me up. It's great. They're great videos. I love them. My wife is like, you can't play those for our children because the language is a little bit abrupt and aggressive, but I think they're funny.
Uncle Nom is on a very tight leash in the Patriot family house.
Yeah, that's for sure. A very tight leash. Tight leash. All right, guys, we got a pretty busy schedule today. Did you know that we don't really do outlines anymore, but planning for these types of shows actually is a lot more work than when we have just one topic that we're going to spend like 2 hours on. But this one has got a lot. I don't know if you guys saw it, but I kind of kicked the hornet's nest the other day. Again, I did a video.
And per usual, SK has no clue what we're talking about. And I haven't been online at all today. I've been busy.
SK, again, is coming totally unprepared. But that's the SK that we like the most, because that's when we get spicy SK, which, by the way, we have some new graphics to show you today, because Am I out of turn here? What's going on?
Yeah, we're not just going to preview them. Like, let them happen organically when they appear.
I wasn't going to tell them what they were. We
have some new material, but you can't give everything away. You gotta leave some mystery.
No. There's a pattern for how you do this. First of all, you tell them what you're going to tell them, and then you tell them what you said you were going to tell them. Like that's how you're supposed to set the show up, isn't it?
Well, you forgot to tell them. You tell them what you're going to tell them. You tell them, and then you tell them what you just told them.
That's right.
How many times can we say tell them?
Right now, I'm in the tell them what we're going to tell them phase, and then we will tell them, and then we can tell them what we told them at the end. So what we're going to tell you and show you are some pretty cool graphics. So we've had a couple of P0s. You guys know them, Garden to Grid, Jake, all of these guys that are just doing incredible work on the back end, creating some really cool graphics, which we're going to show you guys tonight as they pop up and as we have a chance to play them. We've got a ton of We Are Winning. It's almost impossible to figure out where to cut that segment off, because we could do entire shows on We Are Winning, and we probably should. We'll start out with that, because that is probably the most important part. We also have a brand new segment for you. Sorry.
Stop what you're doing, because we have a super chat, and we got to stop what we're doing.
We need a graphic for that, like super chat.
We do. It's the comment. It's the comments, the super chat. So Patriotic Critical Thinker, who, by the way, every time you show up is super chatting $20 at a time. That's fantastic. You might as well, Patriotic Critical Thinker, just become a subscribing member and save your super chats.
That'll work.
Anyway, in honor of Jocelyn Nungare and support of ICE, I love you guys. And Gout, by the way, we've got a segment which PatriotDad's going to tell you about, the biggest losers on the internet. And one of our biggest losers on the internet relates to this directly and perfectly.
Yep.
Great segue.
All right. Well, you just stole that thunder. Back to the story that I was going to tell. So I kicked a hornet's nest yesterday. I got a little bit frustrated when I saw Shawn Ryan come out and make a video that was demonstrably false. So I had a bit of a response video for him, and it went wildfire all over the place. Now, I got to give some of you guys credit because you jumped into the comments to help support the perspective that we should all have, which is with big platform comes big responsibility. I mean, you have a responsibility. If you're going to have millions of followers all over the internet, it is your job to do basic research, to verify what you're getting ready to say is accurate. And if you can't do that, then you deserve to get dragged all over the internet for it. So, to his credit, Shawn Ryan did put out a video, acknowledge the fact that he was wrong when he said that Pam Bondi said that if the files were released, the entire system would shut down. And as we've talked about over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, that didn't happen. She never said it. And yet, for some reason, I still have people jumping into my comments telling me, yes, she did. I'm still waiting for somebody to prove it to me. I'm still waiting for somebody to send me a video clip or a source that says that she said it, because I have found nothing. But to his credit, he did acknowledge that he was wrong there. But
if she actually said that, it wouldn't be hard to find, because that would be like the one quote that they'd actually be able to honestly use against this entire administration.
That's right. That's right. Do you guys remember, who in here remembers the Drudge Report? Raise your hand in the comments. If you're old enough to remember the Drudge Report, raise your hand. Nom, SK, do you remember the Drudge Report?
I do. I remember.
I do.
I loved the Drudge Report. It was my go-to source. It was the place that I started every morning. I would wake up, I would open up my whatever internet that day, and I would go right to the Drudge Report. Does anybody remember what happened to the Drudge Report?
Yep. It was bought out by a lefty organization. It turned into garbage, which is what it is now. It's basically dead. It's a dead platform.
It's a dead site, which was purchased by a bunch of left-wing lunatics who didn't like what the Drudge Report was doing. So they bought it and they killed it. I mean, some lefties still use it because it's still around, and it is basically the Drudge Report for the lunatic left. There's just something in me that makes me think that these fake ass America First black pill crowd creators and influencers are going the way of the Drudge Report. And I'll just let you know that I'm hot on the trail, and I have a pretty good idea that some of the people that have built their platforms on the MAGA brand and were part of the MAGA coalition to help get Donald Trump elected have made decisions about their financial futures that are taking them in a very different direction.
I would just say I did a video on this very topic, and I did 2 teasers. I didn't like post this one widely. People are policy. Okay. And the people that you choose to do business with and you choose to surround yourself with, especially in the business world, speaks loudly about the type of ideology and the direction you want your business to go. Okay. We're just going to leave that there, as Patriot Dad is hot on the trail of what we think is happening. We're not quite ready with it yet. But when you align yourself with certain entities and those entities have ideologies, you also have the same ideology. That's just the way it's going to work out.
Here's the deal, folks. No longer do we operate in an environment where you have neutral political ideologies in this creation space. It does not exist. There is almost nobody that you can align yourself with that is going to be neutral right down the middle and cares only about the business model. None. They are almost all influenced one way or another. So you're just going to have to accept that. The question is, when you see somebody that you used to agree with, and then you see them starting to go in a very different direction, you should immediately ask yourself, what changed in that relationship? And it's pretty easy once you start looking in that direction to figure out what changed. And generally, it has a lot to do with what happened to the Drudge Report. Yep. So we'll get back to that. But in the meantime, sorry,
Rumble rant. Yep,
Rumble
we got a
rant.
Rumble rant from A. Beaverhausen, another consistent piece there. Love you out there. Anastasia Beaverhausen. Did you see that real_Brett Lee on Insta made an apology video about the false info on Pam Bondi? ? I don't even know who real Brett Lee is, but good. If they're wrong and they don't correct the record, why are you still listening to them?
That's right.
Listen, I will
Because
say,
then they're just lying.
I will say, spending time, a lot of time on the internet, debating, posting, whatever it is you're doing, you're going to make mistakes. There are going to be things that come that you say or post that end up not being correct. Regardless of how many followers you have or how big your platform is, what is important is making sure to always correct the record. Being humble and saying I made a mistake is that is the most important thing. There's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, I respect people that frequently make mistakes or more frequently make mistakes and correct them than people that rarely make a mistake but never correct the record.
That's right. So I want to take a quick poll of the audience, of the chat. So I had this crazy idea today. As I've gone back and I've kind of like thought about the video I made yesterday and some of the blowback from it, it's crazy how people get so upset when you challenge an inaccurate statement of one of their golden calves. They just don't like it. They cannot handle having somebody that they've watched be questioned, particularly when the legitimate question should be answered. They don't like it. So I went back and what kind of started this line of thinking for me was watching the Hunter Biden 5-hour interview that Shawn Ryan did. And I was expecting that interview to be hard hitting. I was expecting him to hold him to some type of accountability. And when I saw that 5-hour puff piece that to me looked almost exactly like what Steve Bannon was trying to do with Jeffrey Epstein, rehab his image, tried to change the perspective that people had of him, to me, that was an immediate red flag. And then I start to hear the version of all of these fake ass black pill America First people today, where suddenly they are these incredible guardians of children. They couldn't have cared less about any of them over the last 10 years when we were talking about it. They certainly didn't care about it during the Biden administration when 500,000 of them showed up in the country and then vanished into thin air. They didn't care at all about that. So the question that I have for you guys is, should I send him a copy of the Marco Polo book?
The only thing I had to prepare for.
That was your only assignment
Hold
was
on,
make
I
sure
have
you had the
one,
Marco
but
Polo book ready.
It's an
Well,
older one. Hold on.
Nom, can you pull that video up real quick?
Which one?
It's in there. I have it in there. I'll get it. I have it in the Dropbox.
No, I get it. Give me the name of it because remember we had.
Hold on, we're gonna find it. We're gonna find it
Here,
because look, if
right
you are
here.
going,
Shawn's
And you
copy.
can go-
Is it
you
Shawn's
can
copy?
Go
Yep.
to thebidenreport.com and you can get your own copy of the Hunter Biden laptop.
Yeah.
And also you can go to their Rumble channel, Marco Polo 501c3. They have an X account too. They also have TikTok. They started that so they could come on my TikTok. But go buy a copy, a physical copy. The new one's better. It has Hunter Biden smoking the crack pipe on the front. Go buy one. It's not a coffee table book though, if you have kids in the house.
no,
But
it's
it
not.
has all the information. And you have to remember, some of these people are still saying that it's Russian disinformation, the laptop. And there's testimony from Delaware. He even has the transcripts because I bought the transcripts and read them out loud during that trial. He has those transcripts posted too.
Play that video real quick, Nom. It's only like 15 seconds, but not that one. Not this one. Oh, maybe this one. Oh, is this an SK Spicy Rant? Yeah, the SK Spicy Rant graphic.
Spicy meatball.
Yeah,
I love
that's
that
a
so
spicy
much.
meatball.
I love
That's
it.
a spicy meatball.
I love
All
it.
right, play the video of somebody flipping through the Hunter Biden laptop book that Marco Polo put together.
I
And
made
I
a
just-
video flipping through it.
Maybe it's just your video. I found this from somebody else that had posted it on X, and I'm like, I'm going to borrow that. Do you guys think that we should send Shawn Ryan a copy of this? Because imagine my shocked surprise when he has Hunter Biden in front of him for a 5-hour interview, and at no point did this book land on the countertop or on the table right in front of him and said, explain this. Explain it to me. How is it possible that you have one of the most prolific, disgusting human beings on the planet in front of you for 5 hours and you don't put that book in front of his face and demand an explanation for it. And then just a couple months later,
I can't believe that you didn't use my video for that. Mine's better. It even has
I just
the
grabbed the first one I could
BLM
solve.
sticker that says Biden laptop matters. And it
Do
has
you want to explain that? What was that?
That, ladies and gentlemen, was to clip this. Whenever that comes up, we need one of you to go back and clip that segment that PatriotDad just did so that we can share it later. That's the clip this segment. Go do
The
it.
clip, that's another graphic that we found that was given to us by some of our incredible digital warriors out there making stuff for us. So anyway, I think I'm off my soapbox. If you are going to stake your the future of your show and the direction that you plan to take your multi-million follower audience on, you should probably have a little bit of consistency in that space. And when you have somebody sitting in front of you, an opportunity to hold him accountable for the things that are in that book, and you don't slam that book down on the table right in front of him, I have to ask why. Why now, but not just a few months ago when you had that chance? Well, I think I know, but we'll get to that. We'll get to it. All right.
I'm gonna put my video in there because mine's better. It even has Hunter Got High as the track.
I want to play that, but it's probably a copyrighted song.
I'm sure it is.
It's I don't think they would care for this. It's what's his face? Afro Man. You remember when they
Yeah.
raided his house? It's
Mhm.
hilarious. That's one of my favorite songs, actually. Hunter Got High. At the end of it, he talks about how they raided his house and they ate his lemon pound cake. He was pretty salty about that.
SK, can you get that video in the Dropbox?
That's freaking funny.
We have people in the comments that are asking or demanding that we show your video. So put it in the Dropbox.
I'll
and
get
we'll
it
show
in there. I put a picture in there that has the Biden laptop sticker because it's the best.
All right. So we should kick this off. Oh, hold on. What's this? You guys look great tonight. You're my heroes. Cajun Patriot. Let's pull that up. Is that a Rumble?
Cajun Patriot. You guys know that's a YouTube. We can't see Rumble rants in our chat. We can see all the other Rumble comments, just not the rants. It must come through a different API endpoint, or it's not accessible via API, whatever it is. I don't know, but we can't see the rants. I can only see them on the live when I'm watching it on my phone.
Well, thank you. Although
very
all I did was change my shirt. I had a different shirt on. I put another shirt on.
I'm trying to take it off.
Stop pushing the button. All right. Let's jump into what I think is probably my favorite and most important segment. We are winning because guess what? Oh, by the way, this is a new version. Did you guys see what they did there? They took a new graphic and they smashed it together with the Baby Trump karate graphic to make it a bigger and better presentation of we are winning. So much to the chagrin of the lunatic loser left, the economy is doing incredibly well. And I have to wonder if those of you guys in the comments somehow got a sneak peek into the things that we're talking about, because I saw a bunch of people talking about how the prices of things are starting to come down. I think I saw somebody say they buy a lot of goldfish and they used to pay $3.99 for goldfish and now they're paying $3.19 for goldfish. That is what happens in an economy that's growing rapidly. That's what happens when you have intentional policy designed to slow down inflation and eventually start to bring those prices down. And we got some incredible reporting at the end of last week that I wanted to show on Friday, but it wasn't Lisa, but our topics just went bonkers and we didn't get a chance to get to it. So we're going to circle back and we're going to go talk about some of the news that was released at the end of last week. Nom, can you play winning one for me?
Surprise here, or a downside surprise, year over year at 2.4, had been expected at 2.5%. And I think one of the reasons is this rent of owner's equivalent rent coming in at a relatively low 0.2%. Energy down 1.5%, gasoline down 3.2%, new vehicle sales up 0.2. I am looking for the core number, CPI year over year 2.4, ex food and energy. That came in at consensus plus 2.5%. And real earnings were pretty good, up 0.5% after declining in the prior month. So this looks like a good CPI number.
Yeah, it's a good CPI number. It's a fantastic CPI number. Good. It's just an incredible CPI number, because believe it or not, we actually live in an inflationary economy. That's what the Federal Reserve does. They inflate things. It is almost impossible to get to a place of zero inflation when you have the Federal Reserve doing the things that they're doing. Nonetheless, 2.4% year over year inflation, given the fact that we were just at 9% year over year inflation just a few years ago, is absolutely astonishing. And what makes it even more impactful is the areas where inflation is coming down even faster. And like he mentioned, energy, housing, and food, the three things that every single American household is impacted by. All of us have to put food on the table, put gasoline in our car, and pay to live somewhere. I mean, if that's not a winning story, I don't know what is. But that's not it, because the Trump administration started to leak some additional stuff over towards the end of last week. Can you start pulling up 2, 3, and 4 for me? So the Trump administration over on whitehouse.gov was showing some additional details. Wages are growing faster than prices, putting more money in America's pockets. Real average hourly earnings for all private sector workers rose in January, up 1.2% over the past year. For middle and lower wage workers, gains were even stronger at 1.5. You mean to tell me the Trump economy is actually benefiting middle and lower income households more? Yes, that's what we mean, because that's what's happening. In President Trump's first year back in office, real earnings for all private sector workers have outpaced inflation by nearly $1,400. Do you understand that when the auto pen oatmeal brain Biden was in office, you were seeing thousands of dollars eroded out of the American household every single year? Thousands of dollars just simply by waking up the next day because of their financial policies, their monetary and fiscal policies. Every day you woke up, your dollar was worth less and less. And now when you wake up, your dollar is worth more and more and more. Mining workers are seeing their incomes up $2,400. Construction workers up $2,100. Manufacturer workers, $1,700. People who are producing goods and services, $1,700. That's fantastic.
We should tell people about the inflation calculator. That's one of my favorite things, to show people what your dollar was worth in like maybe 2022 or 2021 and what your dollar's worth today.
That's right. We should.
2022 probably would be the least. Wasn't that 9%?
I think so. I think 9% is the year over year, the highest year over year.
Yeah, it was June of 2022, but I think it was 8.4, 8.7, like that, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep, number 3.
I put that video and that photo in the Dropbox, by the way.
Awesome. We'll circle back to it. All right. So President Trump is delivering real relief at the checkout, pharmacy, and gas pumps. Beef, eggs, and coffee prices all declining in January. Energy prices dropped 1.5%. Gasoline prices fell 3.2% last month. Used vehicle prices decreased 1.8% in January. Folks, if you know anything about the automobile industry, that is one of the biggest inflationary industries probably in the last decade. You were seeing used car prices almost at the level of new car prices for a while there. You couldn't find new cars, first of all, because COVID, the supply chain disruptions was making it difficult, apparently, to build new cars. So everyone was buying used cars, and you were paying almost as much for a used car as you were a new car. Those prices coming down.
And they had, that was so I bought my new truck in October of 2020. So just missed it. But I had a buddy who was trying to buy a brand new Chevy AT4 or GMC AT4. And they're like, hey, we can get it to you, but it's missing like 5 really important chips. So we're going to go ahead and deliver it, and we'll come back like in a year when we can get those chips. So what? Yeah. So you couple that with the used car market And then all the old cars, you remember Cash for Clunkers? You remember what Obama did,
Yeah.
where they basically took all of those used cars off the road and forced and gave everybody tax subsidies to go and buy new cars to try to subsidize and stoke the rental car market, or the car industry, the automobile industry. Well, they also wrecked the rental market. So the supply doesn't exist, and now not rental, but the used car market is destroyed.
That's right.
There you go. That's why.
And now Trump's bringing it down. Prices of used cars are coming down, which, by the way, for those of you guys who have kids, this is incredibly important. We were talking about this in the green room because we all have kids who are of driving age, and we were talking about how we are providing vehicles for our family and our children. Used car prices is a direct impact on your ability to put wheels under the butt of your kids to get them around. All right, pull up number 4.
Hold on, I
So-
will a second. We've got a $10 Rumble rant over here on Rumble from Family Crest. MAGA Jake, are you playing the system right now? Because Family Crest said, "Welcome to Rumble Chat, MAGA Jake." Is he in both places?
He might be watching one on TV and on another one on their phone.
Attaboy. Attaboy.
There
I
you
like
go.
that. Work the system a little bit. We're good
I'm
with
down
that.
with that. Absolutely down with
Okay,
that.
And
number
I
4.
wanted to address a comment earlier. It was in Rumble. I don't remember who it was. I'm so sorry. But when we were talking about correcting the record, and they said integrity is, we were talking about integrity being more important. They said they mentioned Lonesome Dove, and I wanted to say that Robert Duvall passed away. So Gus
Yeah, he
died. I
did.
love Lonesome Dove.
did.
We played that
Yeah.
soundtrack before our wedding when everybody was being
Yep.
seated and like waiting.
I'm the worst at celebrities. I have no idea who any of these people are.
You don't
I
know
just don't.
Lonesome Dove?
I mean, I know
He would-
Lonesome
he
Dove,
would.
but I
Okay,
don't.
well, Gus from Lonesome Dove is Robert.
He
Duvall.
doesn't watch television anymore.
No,
He's-
I don't.
He's old and grumpy.
I'm old and grumpy. Becoming grumpier, by the way, apparently is what Patriot Mom tells me. Grumpier.
Mhm.
So dumpster fire news. My utilities are up, but I'm in the People's Republic of Virginia. Well, wouldn't you know, I actually have something on that later. And your entire state is in the Biggest Loser segment. The entire state. So we're going to talk about that. Nom, can you pull
Number
up
4.
number 4? Rapid Response 47, which is the White House's rapid response team. Trump administration is revoking the 2009 Obama era endangerment finding, the basis that radical left activists used to justify over 1.3 trillion in crushing regulations on the American family. That's going to save you $2,400 a year just by getting rid of these stupid ass left-wing regulations.
Well,
That's a win.
Yes, but I think one of the biggest, most impactful things I think the Trump administration did with Lee Zeldin at the EPA is probably going to ripple through society for a long time. We don't have enough time to cover it, but he basically gutted a number of the absurd EPA regulations, like the start-stop regulation, those things because what the EPA and really what all these agencies had been given the power to do is not to regulate for a reason, is they were actually starting to control what you were allowed to purchase and what you were not allowed to purchase by telling companies what they were allowed to make and what they were not allowed to make. So they were limiting your choices from the federal government through these regulations. So the stop-start is just kind of an indication, but that's huge. If you want a complete rundown of that, Glenn Beck did an entire show on that earlier this week about it, where he was like, if I was there, I would have kissed Lee Zeldin on the mouth because of how impactful what the EPA did. There you go. That's a huge win that I don't think many people are talking about.
No, it's a big one. Pull up number 6 for me. This is probably my favorite. It's like the unsung hero of the Trump administration so far. Trump,
I think I see number 6.
it's in there, winning 6.
I did.
No, it's probably, you probably have to pull it up separate because I think we probably ran out of space. So pull up number 6.
I think it's coming. I think we got distracted talking about something else.
So while
about
he's pulling
blood
that up, I'll
diamonds.
just kind of set this up. So the Trump administration, as you know, has been focused heavily on returning manufacturing back to the country. The headline of this article reads, Trump has reversed the Biden-made manufacturing decline. And I just want to read this excerpt to you directly from the Washington Times because I could not have put it any better than this. In January, the ISM Manufacturing Index jumped 4.7 points to 52.6. That wasn't just an estimate beat. It was a blowout and an important one. So if you don't know what the ISM Manufacturing Index is, I'm going to explain it. It's the most widely followed survey of factory activity worldwide. When it moves above 50, the manufacturing economy is expanding. When it jumps nearly 5 points in a single month to decisively push past 50, something fundamentally has changed.
Dude, guarding the grids on Rumble too. What's going on?
They're
Oh my
they're
God, everybody's
they're
they're
straddling.
everywhere.
That's okay.
They're everywhere.
They can do it. Let them do it. Let them
Okay.
be on 2 devices at a time. And if they can
Hey, go
figure
get
out
on
how to
X
do it-
while you're at it.
No, don't worry about X. We should probably start filtering people into Rumble and YouTube, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We can use X for some fun things, but this is where we want people, because I think this is where we want to grow our audience at, is one of these 2 channels. But folks, do you understand that? The last sentence of this article, of this segment, says, when it jumps nearly 5 points in a single month to decisively push past 50, something fundamental has changed. As it turns out, all it took was a new president. That's what fundamentally changed. Somebody who was actively engaged in trying to bring manufacturing back to the country. What are we at? Almost $20 trillion in beginning and intended investment in the country.
Yes.
For any of you morons out there who don't think that tariffs work, that's what fundamentally changed. Somebody coming in and using tariffs as a leverage to bring manufacturing back into the country is what fundamentally changed. And it's what's fundamentally transforming our economy. And the fact that we have Democrats and some Republicans who are trying to challenge the tariff policy that we have in court, putting it in front of the Supreme Court, which could not go the way we want it to, is one of the most destructive things that the opposition of this country could do. Because it's not just going to hurt Donald Trump. It's not going to hurt the Republicans. It is going to hurt the entire country. If
The entire world, actually.
The entire world. It's going to destroy our economy if he has to roll back the tariff policy. Because then there will be no incentive for these manufacturers to come back into the country again.
Well, but you have to understand, right? The ones who are paying and funding these lawsuits to challenge that, that's what they want to happen.
They're doing it on purpose.
They are doing it on purpose. They're done trying to, slowly and quietly manage the decline of the U.S. economy and the United States of America. They don't even care anymore. They're openly saying, hey, this is our chance to just kill it outright and then let 350 million people suffer, because that's what's going to happen.
That's what they want. You have to understand, this is the color revolution. This is what they are trying to they're trying to advance.
Then that must mean that they think they've got this. That must mean that they think they've got the system for it all to collapse into, and they're ready to rock and roll with it.
They do, and it's going to be social credit scores. It's going to be AI, everything, including your health records, everything. It's going to be abundance economy. I mean, resources divided equitably. So if you're a white male in the United States, you're screwed, basically.
I don't know if
this
that
is
was
a great idea. Go
Hmm.
make one. Can you make one for us? That would be wonderful. I bet you could have Grok make one for you, actually, or ChatGPT, or any of the other ones out there.
That's actually a good idea.
If you just ask that question, they could probably make that map for you.
It won't make the graphics, though. I've tried to ask it to map things, and it tells me code to be able to do it. I don't know where you're supposed to put it. Where are you supposed to put the code?
Grok can make images.
Put it into your browser.
Well, yeah, you can make images, but like when you give them a bunch of information and ask them to like make a mind map, like map it, like connect these people, whatever, it gives you code to like put somewhere else. Where are you supposed to put it?
Well, they want you to put it over in Canva or something else, and then so that's these things. These particular, so Grok, ChatGPT are not great at visualization. There are ones out there that are freaking fantastic at it, but they're purpose built for that, right? That's what they're designed to do. They're trained on entirely different sort of data sets.
All right, and probably my favorite "We Are Winning" clip of the day before we wrap this segment and move on to the next one. Nom, can you pull up winning 7 for me?
I can. I have it.
This
here. Ready, go.
Comparison
inflation for the
is
first
awesome.
year of Trump versus Biden. Biden, overall inflation was up 4.3%, higher than Trump, just up 1.6%. Groceries under Biden in that time, up 3.8%, with Trump up 1.3%. And then when it comes to gas, this is crazy. Biden up 24.4%, with Trump it is actually down 5.4%. That is where the biggest difference is. And we heard from the HUD Secretary, Scott Turner, this afternoon. They are racing to cut red tape for construction projects, because the belief among officials here is that if housing is the #1 place where people are getting killed when it comes to affordability, if people are cutting red tape and able to build more houses and apartments, then the prices will come down. Pretty basic supply and demand.
I have a question
basic.
for everybody listening. Why do you think Biden had those numbers and Trump has the numbers that he has? It's a very simple answer. Because those are the numbers that the people running the auto pen in the Biden administration wanted to happen. You can't create that mess unless you absolutely want to. These people in DC, listen, these people that are writing these executive orders, that are writing these bills, these lobbyists, because, I mean, Biden's not writing any of that. The people in Congress, creatures and things over there aren't writing any of that. The lobbyists are writing it. And then you've got these moron staffers writing these executive orders and such. They wrote them in such a way because that's what they want to happen. And the reason Trump's able to get them down is because that's what he wants to happen. They want these things to happen. That's the simplest answer.
I got to do it. I have to do it. I have to. I have to. I had to do it. You earned it. Clip it. Clip it.
Flip it.
All right.
That's
So-
one bad thing that's going to happen with these clips. I'm going to be sitting here looking stupid or like commenting to people on YouTube, and you guys are going to be talking about really important stuff, and that's going to be the whole clip is me just looking stupid.
Hold on. Hold on.
Clip that too.
Clip that too. You got to clip that. I need that clip. Somebody give me that clip, please.
Somebody said to me, they're like, so what is your ultimate goal? Like, do you want to be like on an act? Do you want to be like a Fox News correspondent, or do you want to be like a, on like InfoWars, like hosting your own show, or America's whatever channel, hosting your own show? And I'm like, I haven't even thought this through. Like, I don't even know how I got here. And if I have to be professional and like actually like sit behind a desk and be all I wouldn't like that.
No.
I couldn't do it.
I don't have to put pants on. I don't want to do that. Although some of them
I have
don't.
pants on.
Most of them don't have pants on.
Yeah, they
That's
got
okay.
shorts on with, it's all business on top and it's like party down below.
Party at the
underneath
bottom.
the
I'm
desk.
afraid I don't know what's going to happen with the camera, so I always wear pants. They might be shorts, but I always wear pants.
We've got one more video that I put in there in the We Are Winning segment that I
Okay.
don't know if you know about. We've
I
got
don't
one
think I
more.
do.
This is a big one. This is for all the nothing's happening crowd, because you're not in our chats, but I know you're out there and I know you're watching. There we go.
There's been actual action to take down and dismantle this entire ring of people.
You're right. We set out to actually activate intelligence-based operations. This includes Antifa. And Dan, you know this. How many people were arrested related to Prairland? We're over 24 federal arrests. We're in the middle of federal trial in 5 of those defendants this week again in Texas. 19 people have been convicted for acts of violence related to Antifa. It's in the indictment. You don't got to believe me or you. Everybody can go read the public indictment. And it didn't just happen there. It happened in Cop City in Georgia, where we had to go rearrest everybody because the state authorities couldn't get their act together to produce the enough information to take that to trial, so we did. And it's not a creation or manufacturing of information. It exists. It's just a willingness that you and I and this building's new leadership took to say, we're going to look at the facts that exist. We're not going to try to make up facts that don't, so we can serve a political narrative. And wait till you, and I know you know this, but wait till you see what's coming in the next month or two on the funding streams related to this. You and I had launched a serious investigation. We had said these organizations don't operate alone, don't operate in silence. They operate with a heavy, heavy stream of funding. And we started looking into it, and guess what, Dan? We found them.
I had not seen that entire clip.
We found them. They found them. They found the money. They traced the money. They know where it came from. They know where it's going.
I wonder where they got that information from.
I have no idea what they just said because I was distracted by the comments on Rumble because now it is devolved and they're all talking about not having pants on.
Hey, you guys do your pantsless party in comments where you can't see each other. Get after it. No, don't be
SK,
careful.
what I said was, I wonder Do we need to replay that clip again for SK?
Do you need me to
No,
replay
it's
the last
fine.
15 seconds? Oh no, let me replay the last 15 seconds of that for SK, just for SK. Are we ready?
Because I want her response. And remember, here I'm going to tee up my question for you again. I wonder where they got this information from. Go.
Factoring of information. It exists. It's just a willingness that you and I and this building's new leadership took to say, we're going to look at the facts that exist. We're not going to try to make up facts that don't so we can serve a political narrative. And wait till you, and I know you know this, but wait till you see what's coming in the next month or two on the funding streams related to this. You and I had launched a serious investigation. We had said these organizations don't operate alone, don't operate in silence. They operate with a heavy, heavy stream of funding. And we started looking into it, and guess what, Dan? We found them.
Wait, what?
We found them?
Who's we?
Who's we? Okay, we'll just move on.
We'll move on.
We're going to move on. It's time to move on to the next segment. Should we jump into the biggest? No, actually, I'm gonna tend to take the steering wheel for a few minutes, if you guys don't mind. Nom, because you teed this up perfectly. With that video, you talked about how, Kash Patel was explaining to Dan Bongino and the Bongino army that they don't make information up. They just went out and found it, right? So one of the questions that I asked when Shawn Ryan put his apology video out, which I'm sure was sincere, and we'll get to the rest of that later, I responded back and I asked the question, why is it that none of these big influencers, these big platforms are asking what should be the most important question everybody is asking right now? We've got millions of documents out, right? The Department of Justice has indicated that they're done. There isn't anything else for them to share that they are legally allowed to share. Because if you remember, the Epstein Files Transparency Act put very specific limitations on what they can and what they cannot share, right? There are withholding requirements for things that are covered under active investigations, which is why you see a bunch of redactions around the names of some of the most salacious emails. There is holding requirements for things that would damage foreign policy. There are holding requirements for child sex material, for pornographic material, for that type of stuff. So you're not getting anything else out of the Department of Justice. There is nothing else.
By the way, does it seem like there's a lot of people who are demanding to see that stuff because they really just want to see it?
It does.
It sure seems like that to me. It really does. Where are the videos? Why aren't we seeing the videos? We want to see their faces. No, maybe you want to see something else. Is that what are you really asking to see?
It feels very, very coordinated to me. It is definitely a propaganda talking point. It's definitely to distract from the wins of the Trump administration, and they're trying to use everything they can to do that. But you can watch the people that are saying the same things over and over again and pushing for these things and saying it's not enough, it's not enough. They're never going to be pleased. These are the same people that no matter what Trump does, it's never going to be good enough. It's never going to be enough. They're never going to praise him for it. And it's just sad that so many people on the right have fallen into this trap, because this is exactly what they said they were going to do. They were going to divide the right. And they've started with Israel. And now they've also brought in the Epstein stuff. And it's being led by people like Candace Owens and Nick Fuentes. And, you know, these people that are saying these horrible things. I cannot believe that Nick Fuentes said everyone needs to stay home and not vote in the midterms. Republicans have to win or have to lose midterms. Like, what?
I can totally believe it. He's a communist groiper. I can totally believe it.
It's insane to me that anyone would ever say that. Like the alternative is like our country won't be recognizable. We won't be able to. We will not be able to fix it. Everybody has to vote November 3rd, but also in the primaries, you got to find good primary candidates.
We're going to talk about both of those things when we get to the biggest loser on the internet segment, because there are candidates out there, as we know, there's a number of them, but there's a new one who popped up on my radar today that everybody needs to understand who this person really is.
Fraud.
Well, he's running as a Democrat, but it is what it is. So, which is fine. But we're gonna show the world who old Kyle Sweetser is. But understand that this entire midterm election campaign for the Democrats, the only two issues that they have, the only two issues, immigration, deportations is ICE, because immigration enforcement and deportations is actually still a winning issue. It's just the way that they're communicating ICE as being the Gestapo. That's the one issue. And the other issue is Epstein. Those are literally it. Nothing else is going to matter in the 2026 midterms because that's all the media is going to allow to have oxygen in the room. So we got to get right through it, which is why we do the winning segments first, so it doesn't get lost in the sauce, because that's what truly matters, right? Okay.
All right. So,
Patriot.
so back to the story. So, one of the question that I started to pose, and I think it's the thing that we need to spend the most time on moving forward, is we're not going to get any more out of the Department of Justice. There may be some additional information that they're able to somehow wrestle away from the CIA. That's certainly possible, but we're not getting anything else. And the question that we should be asking is, why did the Epstein files not produce the results that so many people expected it to produce? Why? What happened to those files over the last several decades?
Are we
Because
going to get to hear from Maureen Comey? Wasn't she subpoenaed, or were they just talking about it?
I think they did subpoena her. I
I'll
don't know the
look.
details. Yeah, see if you can find that out.
Because that fits nicely into this. So what do you want me to pull up here? You got video or image? Because none of it's in there.
First, well, let me set this up. First, I want to do the video. All right. So I have one of these memories where for some reason I'm able to remember things that happened in the past, unlike a lot of people who just can't. Their brain doesn't function that way. So this entire time where Nom and SK and I and so many of you guys who've been out there fighting this fight, trying to prepare people for the very real possibility that you're probably not going to see the number of prosecutions out of this that you were hoping to see, because it felt an awful lot like the information that we were getting out of these files was intentionally sanitized and intentionally polluted to make sure that you didn't know what was real and what's not real in those files. And I keep going back to an interview that I watched or listened to when I was cutting my grass. A bunch of grass, and it takes like 3.5 hours to cut the grass. And I listened to the Kash Patel Joe Rogan interview. I think it was back in July or June of last year, and was absolutely floored at what I was hearing in this interview. Because coming into office, we were told that there is a mountain of videotapes, of photographs, of evidence and proof that was going to not only show that Jeffrey Epstein was this monster, which we all know, and Ghislaine Maxwell was his accomplice, but it was also going to show us who all of his co-conspirators are. And what's really interesting now, by the way, Representative Anna Paulina Luna just unmasked another one of these victims who were in fact predators today.
Saw that. Yep.
One of the most disgusting emails that you read from the release at the end of January was in fact another one of the women who are claiming to be victims was behind that email. Like, disgusting. I think she's even calling for that person to be brought up on human rights violations. Like, that's how disgusting it is. But nonetheless, I keep going back to that interview that I was listening to Kash Patel being asked questions by Joe Rogan about the Epstein files. Now, most of the interview is focused on Epstein's death because Joe Rogan was intensely interested in finding out, did he kill himself or not? And that's what a lot of that interview is about. But right around the 39-minute mark, if you go back and find that interview around the 39-minute mark, this is what Kash Patel said. And I want you to play this clip for me real quick, Nom. And then I want to jump into something that I found when I was scouring through these pages myself.
I think this is it. You didn't tell me, so.
Oh, it's
where are they?
And
where are they? One. Yep.
The media spins up about it. Many in the media protected him. Why? Because of his relationships, who he knew, who his bankers were, who his colleagues were, who was on the island and stuff like that. Some pretty powerful human beings. And so when you peel back the layer and then what happened? The Trump administration, the last go around, decided, no, we're not going to let that go. We're going to investigate him, right? They charge him, they indict him, and he's awaiting trial. And I've said it, Dan Bongino said it, we've reviewed all the information, and the American public is going to get as much as we can release. He killed himself. Do you think, let's play out the logical conclusion of this. Do you think that myself, Bongino, and others would participate in hiding information about Epstein's grotesque activities? Or do you think we would also participate in not prosecuting people we had evidence to prosecute people on. But the problem is there's been like 15 years of people coming in and creating fictions about this that doesn't exist. Where's the videotape of an Epstein Island of X, Y, and Z committing these frauds? Why haven't you given it to us? Do you really think I wouldn't give that to you if it existed?
I mean, that's the claim we've been making for a long time. If it was there, it's not there anymore. There's been so many administrations, so many people who had a vested, if not financial or friendship related reason to make a lot of that stuff go away. And we've seen, as a matter of fact, an endless stream of Democrats who continued to remain closely aligned, using, working with, taking money from, and using the services of Jeffrey Epstein well into 2019, who all knew who he was. Remember when I said we can tell who you are in your ideology by the people you surround yourself with? I said that at the time for a reason, because it's also very interesting that President Trump, right around, early 2000, is when he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. He banned him from the club, and then he started working with the FBI and the prosecutor in the Southern District of Florida to prosecute him. And he no longer, you haven't seen a single email from President Trump or to President Trump or communication or text message at all in those documents. The people you do see working with and trying to get the favor of and organizing with and taking money from and begging money from are the ones who also had their hands all over those files for years.
I want to say something.
I don't know if you're muted or not, PatriotDad, but I didn't hear you.
I was. Real quick, SK, I just want to say this. I put this comment up here because I want to get back to this. Because we can talk about, I think we can have a solid discussion about whether or not he's alive. And it makes sense in terms of where we're going in this conversation. Sorry, SK, go ahead.
I don't know about all that, but I kind of wonder sometimes, I mean, based on everything I've read, and I haven't gone like too far into the files because I've had so many other things going on, but over the years, everything that I've read, I wonder, people always bring up this blackmail stuff, and they, say that, he supposedly had videos of all of these people doing all these things so that he could then use it as blackmail and all that. I sometimes wonder if that's true. I kind of get the sense that Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein were disgusting people. And I feel, and this is my opinion, I feel like a lot of this stuff was for them and them mostly. I don't necessarily feel like this was, some sort of huge international trafficking, ring, and these people just showed up to the island for this one purpose. I think he used that, those types of things and had young girls around to just make the people he was doing deals with, sweeten the deal.
Exactly.
These girls are just here, like, I don't know that he necessarily used it as blackmail. I think he just, he wanted to be the cool guy, and he, liked these super young girls and was disgusting. And he made sure that they were around for whoever wanted in on it.
Yeah, listen, there's 1,001 different reasons why this was all happening. At the end of the day, the people who had their fingers on the evidence, it's not there. I'm sorry. Listen, you're not going to convince me that someone like Dan Bongino with his pedigree and Kash Patel with his pedigree and everything that they've said, and who I know that they actually have been their entire careers, is going to walk in, look at all this stuff and say, you know what? We got to cover all this shit up. Like, we can't let this out. No, there's absolutely no way. Because there's people in there who they would absolutely love to see go to prison just for the other shit that we know they've done. That's right. In their lives. There's no way.
I definitely agree that the different administrations have made sure that things were hidden and disappeared. Just like there's that one lawsuit from that mom whose daughter was abused, and they told the police and FBI in like 1996 or 1998, and nothing was ever done. It was allowed to continue, and that was Clinton's administration, and he was involved with him. So there's no telling. And somebody said in the comments, respectfully, I disagree, SK. Look, I love it when people disagree with me. I think if you agree with me 100% of the time, there's a problem. I think we should all disagree. We disagree. You can disagree with me. That's perfectly okay. I'm not saying I'm married to that either. I just am saying I get the feeling sometimes that that might be the case. But I do 100% know for a fact that Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell and some of the people working for him, they were definitely flying girls in. And Epstein had to have different girls all the time. He got tired of the same people and they were doing disgusting things. And so were other people with them. But I don't know that that was the number one purpose involving other people.
No,
No,
I
I
mean,
agree.
you guys laid out on Monday night. For those of you guys who haven't had a chance to watch the Monday night episode where we had Lisa back with us, and they were talking about the stuff that Epstein and his network of academics and big money investors were building around transhumanism, DNA sequencing, DNA modification, all of that stuff. That, along with a whole bunch of other Russian collusion hoaxes and just about every attempt to try to destroy the United States and Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein had his hands in. You didn't have to have blackmail information on those people. They were there because they wanted to be there, because they wanted a seat at the table of the people that they thought were the controlling power of the globe. You didn't have to entice those people to show up to the island because they were there because they wanted to build a transhumanist future. And Jeffrey Epstein was just throwing kids at them because they're sick human beings.
Yeah, and they're
SK
above the
nailed it.
law. And I mean, listen, we know, ritualistically, children have been a bit of a plaything for the
Disgusting
Satanists and
people.
for disgusting people since beginning of time,
That's
right?
right.
And these people, if you understand what we were talking about on Monday about this transhumanism and where this comes from biblically and the people and what they're trying to accomplish, it's not a stretch at all to say that they don't even have qualms with what they were doing with these children.
they're
They think
perfectly
they're
okay with it.
entitled to do
Yeah.
these things to these
And
children.
do you guys
Like who are you to question them for doing these things to these children?
Right.
And you can see that because not a single one of them has pointed the finger at any of their friends. Not one.
Yeah. Do you guys remember when Alex Jones went like outside that meeting they were having and he
The
was talking
Bilderberger
about
conference.
I don't Lisa knows what it's called because
I
I
think
brought
it's
it up
called
the
the
other day and
Bilderberger. Yeah.
she immediately it was like the Bushes and like that time period. Do you guys remember that?
Yeah, I think it was the Bilderberger conference.
I
Yeah,
don't know, it
that
was
used
like
to be the world.
outside.
That used to be before the World Economic. I think the Bilderberger turned into the WEF or some variation of that, but it was the precursor to the WEF.
I can't believe that all these things ended up panning out that some Bohemian Grove. It was Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, Bohemian
Okay.
Grove. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
I don't. Does
That's
anybody know
it.
who this Matt Morse dude is? Hey, get him connected with me. I'm happy to talk. We want all kinds of people to come on. Sure.
Yep. All right.
not?
So let's advance the conversation. So Nam, can you pull up Where Are They One? This is a letter that was sent to FBI Director Kash Patel. So the question that we should all be asking ourselves is what happened to these files? Because coming into office, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, all of these people believed that there was this mountain of evidence that was just being buried, that they didn't want to show it. And all they were going to have to do is walk into office and they were going to be able to get their hands on it and release it to the American people. So one of the first things that Kash Patel did is he asked for the SDNY, the Southern District of New York, which was the district that was prosecuting Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. It's the district that was handling those prosecutions. It's where Jeffrey Epstein was imprisoned when he ultimately killed himself or did not kill himself. And we'll talk about that here in a second. So Kash Patel comes into office and he asked the question, send me the information that you have. I want to see it. And this is the first page of the letter that he got back, dated March 24th, 2025. I'm not going to read the entire thing for you, but what I want to read is down here in section 2. It says the case agents and AUSAs, the assistant U.S. attorneys, ensured that all videos and images from the case file and from Epstein's residence and devices were reviewed for evidence of a crime. Those reviews revealed no evidence from any of the searches we conducted or any of the files we reviewed that any videos or any other images exist of any victims in this case being sexually abused, nor did those reviews reveal any evidence that anyone other than Epstein and Maxwell participated in the sexual abuse of victims in this case. We are aware of the theories circulated in the media and online that Epstein videos recorded the abuse of his victims, including by other men, but we have found no evidence to support that theory. Indeed, had we found such videos, we would certainly have used them as evidence in the criminal cases we investigated. This is the information that the SDNY provided to the Department of Justice and the FBI when they asked for it. That's the response that Kash Patel got when he demanded the files.
That was March 24th. Okay. Understand the timeline here, right? Because Kash Patel, I think he gets into office sometime in late February, maybe early March. And then Dan Bongino came in March 17th.
That's right.
Right. And they're already getting to work and trying to get to this information. And the people at the SDNY, folks, the Southern District of New York, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and even the field office of the FBI in the Southern District of New York are exactly where every single hoax against President Trump started and where it festered for years. They all started in the Southern District of New York because they were ran by who? Maureen Comey, James Comey's daughter, until she was released from service under who? Pam Bondi, right? Or maybe she left on her own. But
no, she was fired.
She was fired. She sued, by the way.
Yeah, she fired. She sued. So, I mean, where is it? Where's the evidence? Unless you think Kash Patel released that letter after he'd already decided, you know what, I'm just going to cover this all up. That's insane. It just doesn't track. It doesn't make any sense. How about we take the simplest explanation and believe the letter and believe the people we've put actual trust in for years when they say, listen, we got there and it's already fucking gone. Look at who had their hands on it. Clip that shit too. All right.
So play the thing. We need to play that. Clip that. All right. Anyway, so let's move on. All right. Hey, Nom, do you have access to the outline? Can you pull up the outline? There is a URL in the outline, and I'm sorry I did not prepare you for this. I want you to pull this article up and screen share it for me in a second. Folks, I want to take you through an ABC News article. I know ABC News is what it is, but I read through this article many times over the last day, and I think it's incredibly important for you to understand what happened to those files before they made it to the Department of Justice under Pam Bondi. Nom brought up a critically important point. The Southern District of New York is the district that was prosecuting Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. They are the prosecuting attorneys that had access to all the information. They were the ones who were collecting it, investigating it, and were going to prosecute these two people. So for the SDNY to turn around and say, yeah, there's really nothing here except information about Epstein and Maxwell and nothing else. Either one of two things has to be true. Either it didn't exist at all, which I think is pretty questionable given some of the emails that we now see from some of these victims turned predators or predators turned victims. Some of the things that we're seeing in the files about people eating babies and bodies being buried at Zorro Ranch. That information existed somewhere, and yet the SDNY told the Department of Justice, we don't have it. It doesn't exist. There's nothing there. So either one of two things happened. Either it didn't exist at all, and I think you can make a strong case that that's not true, or they buried it.
Didn't they get like 1 million pages of information from SDNY?
I think they got a few thousand the first time.
Right, but then later they got more.
They went back and got more.
Remember, after Trump won the election, they
There
were
shredding vans.
Shredders. And I was making jokes about that, but now I'm really wondering.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Well,
I want to.
So Mimi's right, because the SDNY originally refused to hand them over. They said, no, we're not giving them to you. Okay, so let's get into this.
All right, so I'm going to walk you guys through this, is there a way that you can expand that so people can see the article? If not, that's okay. I'm gonna read through this, so stick with me, folks. And I'm reading through this because it's important for those who are in the car listening. All right. So this is
God, these web pages are freaking
I know.
unusable anymore with all these freaking ads and pop-ups. This is so frustrating. Sorry.
This is ABC News, an article from February 8th. It's titled, FBI concluded Jeffrey Epstein wasn't running a sex trafficking ring for powerful men, files show. So if you remember, just a few weeks ago, information came out that in 2019, the FBI made a determination that there was no trafficking ring and that the only people who were preying on these kids were Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. It says the FBI pored over Jeffrey Epstein's bank records and emails. It searched his homes. It spent years interviewing his victims and examining his connections to some of the world's most influential people. But while investigators collected ample proof that Epstein sexually abused underage girls, they found scant evidence the well-connected financier led a sex trafficking ring servicing powerful men. Videos and photos seized from Epstein's home in New York, Florida, and the Virgin Islands didn't depict victims being abused or implicate anyone else in his crimes, a prosecutor wrote in a 2025 memo. That is not true. There are photos that came out in this most recent January 30th drop that actually showed some underage girls in really compromising situations. So for a prosecutor to write in 2025 that there was no evidence of this back in 2019 or any time before that or after that tells you everything you should know. There was an active agenda to hide this information from people. While one Epstein victim made highly public claims that he lent her to his rich friends, agents couldn't confirm that and found no other victims telling a similar story. Summarizing the investigation in an email last July, agents said 4 or 5 Epstein accusers claimed other men or women had sexually abused them. But the agent said there was not enough evidence to federally charge these individuals, so the cases were referred to local law enforcement. The AP and other media organizations are still reviewing millions of pages of documents, many of them previously confidential, that the Justice Department released under the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and it is possible those records contain evidence overlooked by investigators. Folks, the evidence, the files that were released at the end of January are the millions of pages of documents that were being poured over. And it is clear today that there is, in fact, information in there that we now know from Pam Bondi in her testimony last week is under investigation because of what they found. We know that.
Yes.
She said that.
And I looked, and Anna Paulina Luna did, I think, refer to Maureen Comey, but she said there was a lot of investigation that was going to come out of this, and that people had questions they needed to answer.
Yeah, and these are the questions they need to answer. But the documents, which included police reports, FBI interview notes, and prosecutor emails, provided the clearest picture to date of the investigation. Remember, this is February 8th that they're writing this, and why U.S. authorities ultimately decided to close it without additional charges. All right, so this is where it gets good. The Epstein investigation began in 2005 when the parents of a 14-year-old girl reported that she had been molested at the millionaire's home in Palm Beach, Florida. Police would identify at least 35 girls with similar stories. Epstein was paying high school age students $200 to $300 to give him sexualized massages, which we know. After the FBI joined the probe, federal prosecutors drafted indictments to charge Epstein and some personal assistants who had arranged the girls' visits and payments. But instead, then Miami U.S. Attorney Alexander Acosta struck a deal, letting Epstein plead guilty to state charges of soliciting prostitution from an underage girl. We know that, and we need to understand why. And again, my theory still holds true. I think there's a reason why Jeffrey Epstein was the most protected man on the planet, and it probably has something to do with the plans that he played a part in raising money for, kind of like 9/11, but nonetheless. In 2018, a series of Miami Herald stories about the plea deal prompted New York federal prosecutors to take a fresh look at the accusations. All right, now listen to this. From here on out, pay attention. Epstein was arrested in July 2019. 1 month later, he killed himself in his jail cell. A year later, prosecutors charged Epstein's longtime confidant, Ghislaine Maxwell, saying she recruited several of his victims and sometimes joined the sexual abuse. Convicted in 2021, Maxwell is serving a 20-year prison sentence. Now, when you hear this, I need you to understand who they are talking about. All right? Prosecution memos, case summaries, and other documents made public in the department's latest release of Epstein-related records show that the FBI agents and federal prosecutors diligently pursued potential co-conspirators. Even seemingly outlandish and incomprehensible claims called into tip lines, which we now know about. Some allegations couldn't be verified, investigators wrote. In 2011 and 2019, investigators interviewed Virginia Roberts Giuffre, who in lawsuits and news interviews had accused Epstein of arranging for her to have sexual encounters with numerous men, including Britain's former Prince Andrew. Investigators said they confirmed that Giuffre had been sexually abused by Epstein, but other parts of her story were problematic. 2 other Epstein victims, by the way, who were those investigators? They were the Southern District of New York. That's who was investigating these claims. 2 other Epstein victims who Giuffre had claimed were also lent out to powerful men told investigators they had no such experience, prosecutors wrote in a 2019 internal memo. So Maureen Comey's investigators determined that Virginia Giuffre's allegations were not credible. That's who made that determination.
Some of them were problematic.
Problematic.
Is what she said. Right. Problematic.
No other victims had described being expressly directed by either Maxwell or Epstein to engage in sexual activity with other men, the memo said. Giuffre acknowledged writing a partially fictional memoir of her time with Epstein containing descriptions of things that didn't take place. She had also offered shifting accounts in her interviews with investigators, they wrote, and had engaged in a continuous stream of public interviews about her allegations, many of which have included sensationalized, if not demonstrably inaccurate characterizations of her experiences. Those inaccuracies included false accounts of her interactions with the FBI. So they made a determination on her credibility and determined that she was not being truthful. Maureen Comey's investigators made that determination. Still, U.S. prosecutors attempted to arrange an interview with Andrew, now known as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He refused to make himself available. Giuffre settled a lawsuit with Mountbatten Windsor in which she had accused him of sexual misconduct. In a memoir published after she killed herself last year, Giuffre wrote that prosecutors told her they didn't include her in the case against Maxwell because they didn't want her allegations to distract the jury. She insisted her accounts of being trafficked to elite men were true. Folks, the Maureen Comey, Southern District of New York, intentionally made a decision to not include one of the primary accusers of Jeffrey Epstein and the co-conspirators, and they decided not to include her in that case. Investigators seized a multitude of videos and photos from Epstein's electronic devices and homes in New York, Florida, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. They found CDs, hard copy photographs, and at least one videotape containing nude images of females, some of whom seemed as if they might be minors. One device contained 15 to 20 images depicting commercial child sex abuse material, pictures investigators said Epstein obtained on the internet. Notice how they're attributing all of this stuff only to Epstein. No videos or photos showed Epstein victims being sexually abused. None showed any males with any of the nude females, and none contained evidence implicating anyone other than Epstein and Maxwell. Then Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey wrote in an email for FBI officials last year. Had they existed, the government would have pursued any leads they generated, Comey wrote. We did not, however, locate any such videos. Investigators who scoured Epstein's bank records found payments to more than 25 women who appeared to be models, but no evidence that he was engaged in prostituting women to other men, prosecutors wrote. In 2019, prosecutors weighed the possibility of charging one of Epstein's longtime assistants, but decided against it. Prosecutors concluded that while the assistant was involved in helping Epstein pay for girls for sex and may have been aware that some were underage, she herself was a victim of his sexual abuse and manipulation. Investigators examined Epstein's relationship with the French modeling agent Jean-Luc Brunel, who once was involved in an agency with Epstein in the U.S. and who was accused in a separate case of sexually assaulting women in Europe. Prosecutors also weighed whether to charge one of Epstein's girlfriends who had participated in sexual acts with some of his victims. Investigators interviewed the girlfriend, who was 18 to 20 years old at the time, but it determined there was not enough evidence, according to a summary given to FBI Director Kash Patel last July. Days before Epstein's 2019 arrest, the FBI strategized about sending agents to serve grand jury subpoenas on people close to Epstein, including his pilots and longtime business clients. retail mogul Les Wexner. Wexner's lawyers told investigators that neither he nor his wife had knowledge of Epstein's sexual misconduct. Epstein had managed Wexner's finances, but the couple's lawyers said that they cut him off in 2007 after learning he'd stolen from them. And then down here at the bottom, we're going to skip to the bottom here a little bit. Prosecutors
Finally,
also,
holy cow.
sorry, I know this is a lot, but folks, it's important for you to understand this stuff, right? Prosecutors also examined accounts from women who said they'd given massages to Epstein's home to guests who tried to make the encounter sexual. One woman accused private equity investor Leon Black of initiating sexual contact during a massage in 2011 or 2012. So there is information in this article that has been validated through the records that we now see that people are demanding accountability for. And yet when Maureen Comey and the SDNY was making charging decisions, they chose not to charge. They made that decision. And the question that we should all be asking is why? Why did they make these decisions? Wait, what's that? Did I interrupt you?
No. There was a discussion taking place because I have no idea what you just read because I was talking to people in the chat and I made a clips channel in the Discord.
She's down here like doing like operations.
She's engaged. She's engaging the chat. Good.
That's great.
Fantastic.
But I
the only
can't
reason
hear
I was
what
still
you guys say when I'm reading.
the only reason I was still listening is because I had to scroll. That's entirely too much to read. But folks, that's the story of what happened.
So, but we have to answer the question.
Yeah, when we get to the biggest loser on the internet segment, if we get to it tonight, there are cult herd mob mentality people who think anybody who ever communicated or emailed Jeffrey Epstein should be charged with the crime. They can't tell you what crime at all. They don't care, actually. They don't actually care. They just want them to have to clear their name and defend themselves. But from what? When there's guys, we've been saying this for how long? There's no evidence of crimes that are left other than what was actually tried and charged against Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and a few here and there sprinkled in that I don't think you can find a victim, tie him to an actual abuser, show the date, the time that it happened, get witness testimony, physical evidence, and then actually charge him with the crime.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see because they have open investigations on some of the people that are under redaction. There is one more piece of this that I have to read. It's like a paragraph. It's really, really important because I know, Nom, I see you rolling your eyes. I know reading things on a podcast is not the best way to do this, but you have to understand what happened to these files. I'm going to tell you right here what happened to these files. All right. Yep. On December 30th, 2024, about 3 weeks before President Joe Biden left office, then FBI Deputy Director Paul Abate reached out through subordinates to ask whether our investigation to date indicates the client list often referred to in the media does not exist. According to an email summarizing his query, a day later, an FBI official replied that the case agent had confirmed no client list exists. Before Joe Biden left office, the Christopher Wray FBI, in partnership with the Southern District of New York, created an environment where they were able to say, right before Donald Trump came into office, no information exists. So if you want to be upset, yeah, clip it. Clip it. If you fake ass America First black pill crowd want to be upset with somebody for not getting what you wanted to get out of the Epstein files, ABC News just told you who to be upset with. They just told you. The Southern District of New York created a prosecutable case against Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell that focused only on Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And by the time that Donald Trump was getting ready to come into office, the FBI made sure that the only information that was available was going to be information that was useless. So why would they do that? Anybody want to take a wild guess why they would do that? Nom wants me to stay up until 2 a.m. again. Bro, Jake, I'm up until like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning every night. We all
We
are
know.
late.
We know. We
people.
see your videos.
I think I messaged SK and Troy or Nom last night at like what 3:30 in the morning. Was it 3:30?
I don't know because my phone automatically goes on like sleep whatever, and so I don't always get notifications when I'm sleeping.
3:30. Yeah, it's like 3:30 last night. All right, I'm almost done, and then we're going to get to the biggest loser. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I need you to start rifling through these fairly quickly. Okay. So we're going to go to where are they? No. Hold on. Let me make sure. Hold on. Bear with me, folks.
Why don't you play it if you got it?
Well, okay.
Just
I'm going
bring
to
it
do
up.
this. You guys are going to have to be patient with us for a second. I want to make sure I go through these.
I
In
would
the
like
right
to
order.
remind everybody that I just during all of that went and started a clips channel in the Discord, and you guys can all make clips and post them in there if you want. You can post them all over your Facebook, your Instagram, post them all over the place.
Yep. So while you're looking that up, we actually had a couple of Rumble rants. Let's get through those right now. So Family Crest sent a $5 Rumble rant. They said they found burn bags. Am I to believe nothing was burned? No, you're not to believe that at all. In fact, we don't know what was burned. We know that there were some things that wasn't burned and never got to, but there's a lot of things that were burned. You can surmise that. You can.
I think they said this, and in that interview that Kash Patel did with Joe Rogan, he talked about some of the stuff they found in burn bags, but that was related to Crossfire Hurricane.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff. So we also had a Beaverhausen send another $5 rant, and guarding the grid has your new logo, Patriot Source, where pants are optional. Listen, nobody wants.
Now
to
is
see
not the time for that.
No,
we should
sorry.
probably save that when the dust has settled a little bit on this Epstein stuff.
Okay, what do we got here? Max Baucus.
Yeah, so I want you guys to follow along with me. All right. So these are some of the emails that came out of the Epstein files, and I want you to start thinking about the question: what happened to those files when they were in the hands of the Maureen Comey, which is James Comey's daughter, the head of the SDNY, under Chris Wray, who was the predecessor to James Comey, who was the predecessor to what was that guy's name? The old guy,
Mueller,
Robert Mueller. This is an email from Jeffrey Epstein to Max Baucus, or it was forwarded, inviting him to a fundraiser for Max Baucus. Does anyone know who Max Baucus is?
He was a politician. I don't remember exactly. It's been a long time. He's long gone though.
Pretty sure he's a Democrat.
Yeah, definitely a Democrat.
All right, so let's go look at the next one. Here's
Am I
another.
the only one that glanced up and thought that said Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah, Mort Zuckerman.
Here's another one. Email 2013, November 18th, Hakeem and Jeffries on Wednesday. Dear Jeffrey, I hope you received an invite to the party that Congressman Hakeem Jeffries this Wednesday night in Manhattan. And Comptroller-elect Scott Stringer will be leading the celebrations in what promises to be a great night. So you ask the question, why would they be focused on making sure that the files that the SDNY presents for prosecution only include Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein? I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that Max Baucus, Democrat, I believe, Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat, I'm certain, Martin Heinrich will be in New York City tomorrow and would love to get lunch with you around 12:30 if you're free. This was in 2012. Pretty sure that Martin Heinrich is another Democrat. I don't know. How about this one? Here's another one. We've got this invite that was sent to, who's this to?
Jeffrey Epstein.
Barbro is back in New York and would love to see you if you were available. She knows you have met Barbro's friend and U.S. Congresswoman Diane DeGette is in New York, and Barbro thinks you would like meeting her. Who's I'd be willing to bet she's another Democrat. Anybody want to take that?
Barbara Boxer, maybe.
Barbara
Boxer. That's Barbara Boxer.
Maybe. I got more, and we're going to go through all these really, really quickly because you have to see all the reasons why the SDNY was focused on making sure that they could only create a case that's prosecutable for Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Here's one. This is just Kathy Rumler and Jeffrey Epstein talking about setting up an opportunity for Jeffrey Epstein to meet Chuck Schumer. I mean, Schumer is driving to Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, relief bill. The VI congressional rep Stacey Plaskett has not been able to get a meeting. Can you help? So here we have Kathy Rumler reaching out to Jeffrey Epstein, asking Jeffrey Epstein if he can help set up a meeting with the chief of staff for Chuck Schumer.
Well, and Stacey Plaskett.
And Stacey Plaskett. Here we have
Democrats.
Oh, here's one. Here's a good one. This is records of donations from Jeffrey Epstein to Chuck Schumer. Here's donations. Oh, what's this? No, this is another letter. Ooh, this is an interesting one. So this, I'm going to pull this up on my bigger screen so I can see this. Give me a second.
I'll read it.
Okay.
So this is from Stephen Hansen to Jeffrey Epstein. 2 tickets to the opera, second row, great opera tonight that I blew off my wife for. Stephen Hansen responds to Jeffrey Epstein today. Back New York City, 3 p.m. You in New York City now. When are you back?
Backwards. You have to start at the
It is
bottom.
backwards. Yeah,
Wait,
start at the bottom.
no. The one
Well,
from
the content's
2017.
not really that important. What's important is the next one, which is this one.
Oh, the girls' week. Jeffrey Epstein masterminded girls' weekend in ritzy Hamptons with weird overnight stay emails.
Yeah, and it's this guy who is donating to Chuck Schumer. So Jeffrey Epstein is masterminding a girls' weekend with this ritzy Hamptons with this weird person who's donating to Chuck Schumer. Oh, that's not a really interesting conflict of interest at all, is it? What about this one? Here's another one. So here is Harvey Weinstein, who, by the way, is also in the files. Some pretty disgusting stuff.
Yeah,
Giving
he had his own predilections. Yes.
Doesn't
Chuck Schumer.
Candace Owens talk about him and say that she thinks
yeah.
he's innocent?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So we asked the question, why are the large influencers not at all interested in finding out that the files that were handed to the Trump Department of Justice were clearly sanitized in a way that they would not be able to prosecute anybody? Why? Maybe it has something to do with the fact that there was an effort to protect people like that in those files.
Because remember, they know, they've made it clear that they know that even accusations, which is why they say Trump's name is listed X amount of times in the files. It's always, Trump was friends with him. Look at these pictures of Trump with Jeffrey Epstein. But they leave out all the important details about how he voluntarily helped the FBI, how he voluntarily helped the attorneys of the victims, how he couldn't stand Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, they leave all that out because they know the power of just associating them together is what's important. If there was evidence Donald Trump committed any crimes against any kids, we would have seen it in 2015. We all know this. This is common sense. These things had to be sanitized, even just campaign emails and, soliciting donations from Jeffrey Epstein, because they've already made it clear to you that even being associated with him means Trump is guilty of committing horrific crimes against kids. So they've already said that out loud repeatedly over and over and over again, but they don't want you to know that they actually are connected to Jeffrey Epstein. Now, whether these people committed crimes with Jeffrey Epstein, I'm not making that accusation, but they know the power of just the accusation.
That's right.
So it's time because we just started.
We have a new segment.
The Biggest Loser segment on the internet.
Brand new segment.
The Biggest Loser on the internet segment. And the reason we started the segment, SK, is because the biggest loser on the internet today, it's exactly what the Biggest Loser was talking about. Let's introduce everybody to the biggest loser on the internet today, OnlyFans model, Boogie Ray.
Where this is a hot take, but I really don't think that any single person who has ever had any contact with or any connection with Epstein should ever have any position of power. Every single one of them should have an active investigation open against them. I don't care if you just attended the parties, I don't care if you just emailed him once. It's time to clear your fucking name in the court of law. oh wait, our fucking prosecutors were connected to Epstein. So once we the people come into our rightful place of power, every single one of you motherfuckers that cannot prove without a shadow of a doubt that you did absolutely nothing in relation to Epstein, we will watch you swing and dangle in the fucking air. And it's sad.
Hold on. I was distracted.
Were you distracted?
Is
I was
that a
distracted.
stain on her shirt, or
No.
does she
No,
have like
that's
straight
that's
up?
the free. Yeah, no, she's no. Listen, she is an OnlyFans model who is doing political content now to try to drive subscriptions to her OnlyFans page, and she is incredibly ignorant and dangerous, and she has over 200,000 followers on Instagram of a bunch of groypers and losers and guys who never leave their basement, and some chicks who are like, you go girl, who believe what she just said. Listen to what she
edit
just
that
said.
video and add a giant magnet coming in and just suck it to her face, because
The only reason why this potato has 200,000 followers is because that's probably the first time 95% of them have ever even seen the shadow of a nipple.
Correct. But
that's probably
did you
why.
hear what she
I'm
said?
a
Did you
female, and
hear-
I'm over
did you hear
here
the
like,
claims
wait,
that
is
she
that
made?
her
Listen,
nipple?
I'm not going to begrudge what she decides that she wants to do for a living. That's all well and fine. But listen, you stay in your lane, because the lane that you are venturing into, you sound like a fucking moron when you speak. Okay. There is, do you know the last time that people that lived on this continent ever had to deal with a government dragging them into court with no evidence and saying, you prove your innocence, instead of the other way around? You know the last time that happened? It was sometime around the Revolutionary War, when we shot a bunch of British and we kicked England out of our fucking country. And we told the king, we don't have kings here. We actually have a constitutional republic. We have rules. We have laws. We have a justice system. And we have an adversarial court where you are innocent until you are proven guilty. If you cannot make a case that there was a crime committed and there was an abuser and a perpetrator of that crime, you don't get to drag people into court. She said every single person that communicated with, sent an email to, went to a party, or had any sort of contact with Jeffrey Epstein had to go be dragged into court, drawn into court, and prove their innocence in front of a court of law, or they were just going to hang when the people take their rightful place back in this country.
The problem that she's going to have is that the person that she thinks that she's going to be able to see hang in the town square is the only person that we've actually proved did nothing wrong. And it's the one that she is hoping to see hanged. Donald Trump, we have proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that none of the allegations against Trump in any of these files are real. None of them. We've proved it. And I'm going to show you some more here in a couple of minutes. Not a single one. As a matter of fact, if she wants to go down this path, I suspect that she hasn't even read enough of the files to understand that the people that, according to her new strategy, the people that are going to end up caught in her dragnet are going to be the people that she wants you to go vote for.
Yep. I will give her credit, because she got back in the comments and made response videos where she's like, what made you think I wasn't talking about Democrats? Right. So if she's serious about that, that's all well and fine. But let's see it, because the next time you pick up a protest sign, a pre-printed protest sign, or you go out there and you hold your fist up and say no kings, and you don't realize that it's Reid Hoffman who's funding it, you have no credibility. So that's why she wins the biggest loser on the internet, because not only does she have no credibility, she doesn't understand how the legal system works. She doesn't understand how the justice system works. And number three, she just wants people to hang without proving they did anything wrong whatsoever.
No, I think
we don't do mob justice here anymore. No matter what these animals want to happen, we're not going to do mob justice. We're not going to do weaponized Department of Justice. It's not going to happen. And you can just fuck right off if you don't like it.
I think the problem that we should all focus heavily on is that if these people are allowed to take control in the midterms and in 2028, mob justice is what's going to happen.
And they've said they're coming after all of us. If you've been posting on the internet or on social media, supporting MAGA, supporting ICE, supporting Trump, supporting anything they disagree with, they want to come after you as well.
right.
Regular people.
That's right.
By the
All
way,
right.
last point on Boogie Ray. It is quite rich to hear an adult model, an OnlyFans model, talking about trafficking and sexual abuse of underage girls, because there's no place where that happens more than in the adult film industry.
That's right.
It happens every single day. Women are objectified, they're destroyed, they're raped, they're trafficked, and you willingly participate in it, Boogie Ray. So please spare me your fake outrage as you try to drive traffic over to your monthly subscriptions on OnlyFans. Leave
Amen.
the tough concepts to the adults.
Amen. Nom, you got a second candidate for biggest loser of the day. Do you want to bring this Yahoo up?
While you're pulling that up, can I just point out again for the record that these No Kings protests, in places where there's actual kings, they call them no tyrants because they didn't want to offend the people with actual kings. That's how
Because they can't. They're not
ridiculous
allowed.
this shit is, okay?
They're not allowed to.
Bunch of pansy asses.
All right. So my next submission on the biggest loser on the internet segment of our Wednesday show is Kyle Sweetser.
MAGA lied
Let's
to
meet
the
Kyle.
American people. Trump's buddies are set to get $38 billion to expand detention facilities across the United States. That's 92,000 beds at $400,000 per bed. That is a whole lot of taxpayer dollars. And for what? Think about it. MAGA ran on deporting violent criminals. And we're finding out that the vast majority of the folks that they are detaining, they have no violent criminal history. Also, they said that these folks were siphoning off taxpayer dollars through fraud. But if you look at welfare fraud, over 90% of it is committed by U.S. citizens. So these folks ran on a lie to enrich themselves, to line their pockets by dividing us, by turning neighbors against each other. It's time for the American people to stand up against these folks that are dividing and destroying our country.
Nom, do you want to take this one? Do you want to wreck his Senate campaign?
Yeah,
right
I
now?
do. Let's just go ahead and end his Senate campaign before it gets started, because that's Kyle Sweetser in
Hold on a second.
Alabama.
Before you do, I just want to prepare the show archivists that you're going to want to do this. You're going to want to clip it. Trust me, you're going to want to clip this. All right, go ahead.
So this is Kyle Sweetser. He is I'm assuming he's a Democrat, because that was the dumbest thing I've ever listened to. I mean, literally every single point that man made was just wrong, as a complete and total lie. He's running for the United States Senate in Alabama, and he can't get a single thing right. Now, it is true.
Not one thing right.
Well, he got one thing right. There was $38 billion allocated
45.
to 45, a little bit more than that. Money allocated for mass deportations. And this is what people don't understand. Listen, Kyle, literally nobody ran on only deporting violent criminal illegal aliens. Nobody did.
Nope.
Not one person ran on that. President Trump ran on, and we elected him to deport every fucking one of them.
Everyone.
All illegal aliens will be deported. So why do you think, Kyle, and all of you people who are out there saying that these detention centers aren't just for illegals anymore, they're for subversives, they're for people who oppose the regime, because that's the claim that's happening thanks to people like Kyle Sweetser. Hey, Kyle, why do you think they would need to procure all of this new detention space for deportations? What do you think they're going to do with that?
Can I answer? They're going to round up all of the septum ring wearing blue haired liberals who say mean things about Donald Trump, and they're going to put them in concentration camps.
Or they're going to do the largest mass deportation effort ever seen, which is exactly what President Trump ran on. And by the way, the majority of this country still wants to see happen. Even though you guys have spent the last year lying about what is actually happening. SK, please.
Okay, I just looked this up because I wanted to see the statistics. Just so you're aware, there are 7% of arrestees had violent criminal conviction. Overall, 37% had past criminal conviction, violent or otherwise. 30% had pending charges, and 33% didn't have any. This is deep. I looked up deportees, people that have been deported. So that means that only a third of people, and you have to remember, when somebody's being deported, they can choose to take their family, their children, all of those things. So only 33% of people that have been deported don't have any criminal convictions of any kind.
That's an important point.
And it even goes on to say, even some of those people had pending like traffic charges and things like that. And you do realize you can be deported if you're not a green card holder. If you're here on a visa, if you're here illegally, well, you can be deported if you're here illegally regardless. But even for those things, breaking the law in any way makes you eligible for deportation.
Well, just being here illegally makes you eligible for deportation. And the Department of Justice or Department of Homeland Security has already corrected this gigantic lie that you're hearing from these idiots like Kyle Sweetser, who are telling people that only 15% of deportees are being deported because of violent crimes. Did you notice the term that they use is violent crime? The problem is there's a whole lot of crime out there that's not necessarily violent, like robbery, like drug dealing, like kidnapping, not violent. None of that's violent.
They reclassify. That was the whole scandal under the FBI, under the Biden administration. And Harris went out touting all of those numbers, and she had to get corrected because the FBI changed the way that they keep the statistics. Also, you have places like DC and the big cities that don't always report those things. And also, like in DC, when there was like a carjacking, which is a violent crime, by the way, they were calling it like theft.
Yep.
Like auto theft.
Yep. So let's move the ball down the road with ending Kyle Sweetser's Senate campaign over there in Alabama. Not that it ever started. I mean, it is Alabama. I mean, this is the most insane thing I've ever heard. What do you think happens, Kyle, when every single person that is set to be deported, even though they've gone through the process, they've had due process, because that's what happens in Article 2 immigration courts. And when you get a deportation order, that's literally due process. What do you think happens when you file a lawsuit to stop the deportation of every single one of them? They all get stuck in those. They get stuck in those deportation centers longer. The conditions decline quickly when you got all those bodies. So they need a lot more space for them. And it's not about Trump's cronies getting rich. It's about, we've got to put these people places because we know that you're going to spend every single dollar that the left can summon, from Reid Hoffman, the pedophile Epstein Island visitor, to fight the deportation of people who never had any business being here in the first place. So you guys are causing this. You're creating all of this, literally all of it. The Democrats are creating. You created the immigration crisis. You're creating them staying here longer by suing them. And you're creating all the problems with ICE in the streets when you go out and attack them. It's your fucking fault. It's not ours.
That's right. So I did a video on this earlier because I was sick and tired of seeing lunatics complain about this $38 billion that's being spent to expand the deportation processing centers. People are legitimately saying that this is going to be used to create concentration camps for American citizens. Like, this is how insane these idiots have become. If this is in fact a conspiracy, it is the worst kept conspiracy because they literally put it in the One Big Beautiful Bill. They put it in the bill. They put the $45 billion in the bill itself, and they tell you exactly what they were going to use it for in section 90003, detention capacity. In addition to any amounts otherwise appropriated, there is appropriated U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement for fiscal year 2025 out of any money in the Treasury not otherwise appropriated to remain available until September 30th, 2029, $45 billion for single adult alien detention capacity and family residential center capacity. It's right there. Worst effing conspiracy of all time. Worst, because they put it in the bill. They told you what they were going to be building. And to Nom's point, Donald Trump promised me and you and every one of us a mass deportation agenda. That's what he promised.
I want to propose more alligator Alcatrazes and also shark Shawshank.
Amen.
I think so. We need shark Shawshank. We do. We certainly do. Do we need to even touch on his just the dumbest statistic that he pulled out of thin air? The 90% of fraud comes from America. I mean, you just literally made that up. First of all,
I don't care if it's 90%.
Nearly $20 billion from Somalis only in Minnesota is bad fucking enough. $1 of fraud from a person that we have invited into this country or stole their way into this country is more than enough. But why are you freaking claiming that fraud is just fine if Americans do it? Because that's essentially, hey, fraud's fine if illegals do it because Americans do it too. No, by the way, you got assholes just spent the last year fighting attempts to stop all kinds of fraud.
Let's be honest, Nom. Let's be honest for 1 second. He is running to become a Democrat politician. He knows damn well that fraud ends up in his pockets if he wins. That's why he's doing this, because he wants part of the money laundering gravy train. That's why.
I want you guys to keep that clip. Make sure you have it bookmarked and can find it later, because soon you guys are going to see all the fraud that's taken place with all of the immigration and the immigration pipeline that we've been talking about and all the research we've been doing. And there might just in the future be a huge video just like the one in Minnesota. So be watching for that, because that's coming. And this guy is going to have to eat crow over what he just said, because the immigration pipeline and the fraud with immigration is just as bad. It's in every state, and it's everywhere. It's just like what Nick Shirley exposed. It's exactly like that with the immigration pipeline.
That's right. All right. I want to zip through a couple of quick losers, and then we're going to have to wrap here soon. You guys okay with me flying through a few? All right.
Let's do it. Yep.
I have my next candidate for the biggest losers are voters.
Voters or
voters?
Republicans?
No. I'm not there yet. We're going to do that next. Okay. Voters. So I'm going to pull this up. You guys, I'm sure some of you have seen this. I couldn't stop laughing. And I know it's not nice. It's hard to laugh at people when they're living in misery. But I couldn't help it, because they kind of did this to themselves. Where the heck is it?
Virginia, the biggest state. Yeah, the biggest loser state.
No, not that one. Did you guys see this?
No.
Oh, shoot, where is it? Hold on, it's coming. Did you guys see this? I found this on X.
Bro.
Is that poop?
This sidewalk is filled with shit.
Filled with shit?
Like, this is ridiculous. I'm scared I'm gonna step in it. But yeah.
So what is it with Democrats and shit on their sidewalks?
Is that dog shit?
No shit like that.
I think it's a lot of it's dog shit from the melting snow is my guess.
That's exactly what it is, because Mondani couldn't figure out how to manage the very basic sanitary process of snow removal during a snowstorm in New York City. Piles of snow mounded up, in some cases, along with trash, to 10 feet tall. And it took weeks for them to be able to clear that out. And when the snow melted, that's what the sidewalks in New York City looks like right now.
How many people wear shoes inside their house if they live in New York City?
Everywhere.
Dude,
I got more.
Hold on, but you all just saw where Mamdani just kind of went up in front of the cameras. I think I saw it yesterday, and I don't have the clip, where he was like, the state won't raise their taxes for us, so we're gonna have to do it. We're left with no choice, and we're gonna raise all your property taxes. Everybody's getting fucked.
Of this
9.5%
is a property tax increase. This would effectively be a tax on working and middle-class New Yorkers who have a median income of $122,000. The second path also requires us to raid our reserves. It would mean withdrawing $980 million from our city's rainy day fund in fiscal year 2026 and $229 million from the Retiree Health Benefit Trust in fiscal year 2027.
What a putz.
These are steps that have been taken before, but only in moments of extraordinary external crisis. Mayor Bloomberg's response to the 2008 financial collapse, and Mayor de Blasio's response to the enormous revenue shortfall caused by the pandemic. We do not want to have to turn to such drastic measures to balance our budget.
What
Holy
external
shit.
crisis?
The external
voters?
crisis is him. He's the external crisis.
You guys, elections have consequences. This
They
is why
do.
you have to vote.
They do.
And socialism is not it. Marxism, not it. Communism, not it. Only capitalism. Period.
It's not even that, because they haven't even really started to try to do the communists and socialists. It's that they're incapable of actually governing anything. Because they never
guys.
They don't know
the
any of
purpose
this.
is to collapse everything. That is the entire purpose.
I get it, but
hold on. Take a step back for a second. I want you to just listen to this. Mom Donnie, the socialist, is going in front of the citizens of New York City and saying, because the governor will not give me the tax increases that I want, I'm going to take it from you. That's what he said.
Good.
He is
Let
telling
them take it.
the citizens of New York City that I'm taking it out of your ass because the governor won't give me what I'm asking for. You wanted socialism, folks. Hold on. There's more, because I got one more I have to show you. And this goes back to a comment earlier, how utility prices in Virginia, for some reason, continue to keep going up, which is the strangest thing, because Spanberger promised that they were going to go down. And yet they're not.
So can
Shocking.
somebody please explain
How would she
something
even
to
promise
me?
that?
What the fuck is going on with energy in Virginia?
Look at
Because
this energy
something to
bill.
me is just not making sense. Every
$13.81.
single electric bill I'm getting is looking like this. This is how all my electric bills are looking. How is it humanly possible that I was using 1,500 and less kilowatts every single month in 2025, 2024, and 2023, but somehow I'm using 5,000 kilowatts of energy now?
I have the answer for you, brother.
5,000, 4,000, 4,000, 4,000?
I know how to.
I have the
months?
answer for you.
Something doesn't make sense, bro. And every time I call Dominion Energy, they tell me that I'm tripping. I need somebody to help me understand how.
All right, I'm going to help you understand. All right. And this is super fast. Okay. Just bear with me. You asked for socialism. Now you're getting it good and hard. There's your answer. You asked for it. Now take it.
Well, that's one of them. The actual reason why this is happening is specifically on his energy bill is because of the data centers.
It's the data centers.
It's the data centers, which are going to happen. By the way, it's time to start building nuclear reactors again. I mean, if you guys actually want to deal with this, your wind farms, your stupid wind farms, and your solar panels and all that shit. Hey, by the way, did you know when I drove across the southern part of this country from where I live across the panhandle?
Yes, single windmill, did you?
No, but you know what I did see on I-10? You know, almost the entire panhandle,
Solar.
literally solar panels on the north and south side, like all of it, which is great. If Florida's actually using it, they get sun. Good idea. I don't know how effective they are, but I was shocked to see it. They're fucking like miles and miles and miles of solar panels.
I found a document last week or the week before with this whole group. You know, there's so much, but this is part of it. They know that nuclear energy is the answer. They know that it's cleaner. They know all of these things. They
Safe.
talk about it, and then they push all these other things because they know it is a money-making thing. And at the same time saying they care about the environment, and that's why we have to have this green
They
energy,
don't give a
knowing
shit about the
that
environment.
those solar panels and batteries and all those things are just going to pollute the earth even worse. Same with windmills. They don't last that long.
All right.
Because they want the subsidies so they can defraud the taxpayers. That's it.
Because
That's
it's all about money laundering. It's all about
Yep.
getting money in the pockets of people like Kyle Sweetser. That's the only reason he's running for office, is because he knows he's going to walk away from office a very wealthy man if he wins. All right, last one, and then we're done. The biggest loser of all is the freaking Republican Party. Holy crap, Republican Party. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but President Trump's chief of staff, Susie Wiles, held a major meeting with several White House cabinet members to strategize on how Republicans can win the midterms in the election. Nom, do you want to tell the audience what you said when I showed you this morning or this afternoon? Do you remember what your response to this was?
I don't remember, but God, these people are such fucking losers that they have to be coached in how to win. Like Susie Wiles has to come in and be like, listen, you guys all suck so bad at your jobs. You are horrible in Congress. Like our voters, MAGA voters, like they don't want to vote for you. You're so horrible. Here, let us teach you how to not suck quite as much. And they won't get it. They still won't understand.
No.
PatriotDad, right. Why don't you tell them how to win?
All right.
Please.
This is very simple. This is not hard to do. All right. We're going to teach the Republican Party how to win. Are you ready? Stop being pansies. That's one. Number two, you have what is getting ready to be the most robust economy probably in any of our lifetimes. If you don't spend 90% of your time talking about the economy, you're going to lose. If you don't spend 90% of your time talking about affordability and how the agenda of the Trump administration is fixing the affordability crisis, you're going to lose. And if you don't implement the SAVE Act, you're going to lose. If you don't pass the SAVE Act, you will lose, and you deserve to lose. If you don't,
who doesn't deserve the impact of that? We don't deserve. We don't deserve what happens when they lose because they can't figure out how to do these simple things right. We don't deserve that. They fucking deserve to lose, but we don't deserve the blowback from it. That's going to happen.
And there's one more thing. Sorry, SK, go ahead.
I was going to say, and people have to get out and vote. You have to look and find out when the primaries are in your area. You have to make sure a plan. You have to vote. And then you have to vote on November 3rd. I think it's November 3rd. Make sure, put it in your calendar. Remind yourself over and over. Make a plan. Vote.
And there's one more thing that people are going to demand. Accountability has to come, and it has to come soon. You're running out of time, Mr. President. You are running out of time. People have to go to jail for what they've done to this country over the last couple of years. They have to. And I know that there's things coming. Dan Bongino, Kash Patel talked about it. I know that there's the grand, whatever, the grand things that are going on down, grand juries that are going down in Southern Florida. We know that, but it has to happen now. People are tired of waiting. Because if it doesn't happen, here, folks, is what our future looks like. I want to show you one last video clip. This is what we're getting ready to hand our country over to if the Republicans don't stop being a Patriot Mom, if you're listening, please plug your ears. If Republicans don't stop being the biggest pussies on the planet, we're going to lose. And this is what is going to happen to this country if we do.
She stopped listening about 20 minutes in, so don't worry.
I don't want impeachment. I don't want them to serve time. I want them taken into the city town square, hung from their ankles, and cut them from groin to chin.
She seems nice. I bet she's really nice.
This is not a joke.
No, they're not joking.
They're not joking. That is what they intend to do to people that they don't agree with, to people that voted for Donald Trump. They fully intend on hurting you, not just emotionally, not just financially, like physically harming you and your family is what they plan to do to this country.
For those of you that couldn't hear,
you're feeling froggy.
No, I say bring it
bring
too.
your
I say bring it too.
dildos. You're not going to meet a dildo when you get here.
Listen, I say bring it too, because if you're going to threaten to drag me into the town square, hang me from my feet, and gut me from groin to stern, that chin, then I will tell you I will shoot you in the fucking face before you have an opportunity. And all of your friends that come with you, every fucking one of you.
I got damn good aim too.
I mean,
you're going to threaten me. I'm going to threaten you back, but I'm going to tell you right now, I will win. You will lose, and nobody will care.
We had a lot more in terms of the biggest losers. And I think that's going to be the biggest problem with this segment is I don't know where to stop because just about everything I'm seeing on social media right now is a bunch of freaking losers being losers.
I have a question. Is it bad that when I see stuff like that and, they start talking about bringing weapons and they start talking about attacking us or saying that they're going to attack not just us, but our children. And when we're in the store and they think that we are MAGA voters, they're going to come at us. Is it bad that my knee-jerk reaction is like, bring it. Like, where's the purge alarm? Like, this is what I've been waiting for my entire life.
We've been training for this for a very long time, folks.
I don't think they understand. I think they do not have a single clue. They
They've
don't
been-
understand
they've
that we could
lived in
sit back
mommy's
on the
basement.
couch.
No, they've lived in mommy's basement playing these role-playing RPG games. They think that this is all fantasy. It's all virtual reality, and it's not. You're not going to win the war if you think you are. But nonetheless, I'm not even in a mood to hand over the opportunity for these absolute freaking lunatics. By the way, Mr. President, after you're done with the deportation centers, can you convert all of those new facilities into padded rooms for those lunatics? Can you do that for us? That'd be nice.
Listen, these people don't understand that us adults could just sit back on the couch with popcorn watching video of this taking place, and we could have they don't even have to be teenagers. They can be like preteens. The preteens could handle this. These people have no idea what they are proposing. Not a clue.
No. Because
hold on.
they're
Hold on. We need to
hold
clip that. Oh, never mind. That's fine. Clip it.
Their proposal requires someone else to do the work for them. They don't know who. There's just somebody. Our proposal is, I wish you would try, because I will deal with it myself. That's my proposal.
That's right. We're going to clip that segment, starting with SK, finishing with Nom. As we wrap it up, we will see. Are we doing Friday? I don't know if we do Friday. I'm going to be showing up right when it starts because PatriotDad has soccer. So you guys can get things set up, and I'll jump on right when it starts. But let's plan on Friday, 9:30 Eastern. Bring your frosty beverages. It's a little bit different. And we are right at 2 hours. This is the longest show we've ever done.
It is.
Good job, y'all. Yeah, it is. It is. All right. We're out. See you guys.
Good night, guys.
Peace.
The bullets and the punches and the riots have been flowing in only one direction for too long.
I've been trying to tell you guys this whole time how corrupt all of these things were, and here we are.
It is not our responsibility to fix something they spent years intentionally trying to destroy. Unity can only happen in a country when you have a people who agree on what the outcomes should be.